Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Tuesday, January 14. Can you believe it? And here we are on the Bill Press Show this Tuesday morning. with a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of stuff you are going to want to talk about. Coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and our studio on Capitol Hill, and booming out to you live on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV. Free Speech TV, of course, on the Dish Network or DirecTV, and TawkrTV at YouTube, youtube.com/TawkrTV. So President Obama fighting a rear guard action here in Washington on Iran. He finally, because of some very tough sanctions, has been able to drag Iran to the negotiating table. They've agreed to scale back their nuclear weapons program, or their nuclear program. They deny it has anything to do with weapons. And we've agreed to scale back our sanctions, but now some senators are trying to undermine that, pull the rug out from under President Obama by slapping even tougher sanctions on Iran. Big mistake, and President Obama is trying to convince them not to do it. Christie's discovered he is not out of the woods yet by far. Two bits of big bad news for him yesterday. First, the state legislature announced creation of a super committee to look into the Bridgegate scandal, and it was announced that federal officials are now investigating whether or not Governor Christie misused Hurricane Sandy funds by making tourism ads which featured him and his own family. And we learned yesterday that 2.2 million people have now signed up for the Affordable Care Act, 950,000 on through the state exchanges, 1.2 million through the federal website. So Obamacare is working. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Here we go, Tuesday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat?
TV and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
This is Southwest Airlines, and we have landed at the right airport. Thank you. Yes, indeed. You can count on us. We'll get you there. We may not get you where you thought you were going. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What do you say? Here we go on Tuesday, January 14. We're suiting up for another 3 hours of the Bill Press Show. Thank you so much for being with us here this Tuesday morning. On the radio, your local progressive talk radio station. On TV, Free Speech TV on satellite, on the Dish Network or DirecTV. And on our video stream. Love to see you on the video stream on your laptop, your computer, your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Big Tuesday morning here indeed, with lots to talk about, with President Obama fighting a rearguard action on Iran sanctions here in Washington. Christie in yet more hot water up in New Jersey, now under federal investigation for possibly misusing Hurricane Sandy funds. And lots happening all across the country. The latest numbers from the sign-ups for the Affordable Care Act came out yesterday. That and more we will touch on this Tuesday morning, and invite your calls at 866-55-PRESS. We'd love to hear from you. You're part of the program. You're the biggest part of the program. And we want to get your comments on Twitter at BP Show. Don't be shy. We don't care if you agree or disagree. And all of our friends we want to hear from on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Can't do it by myself. Got the help of the team here this morning. Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy. Hello, hello.
Hey.
Good morning.
Everybody looking good this morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, here we go with Alicia Cruz. There she is on the phones. She is your immediate point of contact here with the show. And Cyprian Bolding, of course, behind the scenes, but keeping us in front of the camera for our video stream and Free Speech TV.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
We always have to be nice to Cyprian, otherwise he'll just lower the boom.
Exactly.
Turn off the lights.
He's our founder.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
We have bars now.
He wasn't saying anything bad, Cyprian. We were saying how much we like you.
That's right. He's very sensitive.
Very sensitive. You have to be careful.
We've talked a lot about Chris Christie, but as we said yesterday, the biggest scandal of all is up in New York City, where Mayor de Blasio met with some residents, some constituents, business leaders in a Staten Island pizza parlor the other day, maybe the third day of his being mayor. And the picture, there they were in the restaurant when the table was set, and there were two big pizzas in the middle of the table. Everything was perfect, except for some New Yorkers, what was not perfect is the mayor was eating his pizza with a fork and knife.
Yes.
Nice delivery there.
And as Jon Stewart said last night, you can't do this.
Look, I understand there's a learning curve to being a mayor, but here's lesson number one. Learn how to eat your city's signature dish. If you were mayor of Philadelphia, would you eat a cheesesteak with a knife and fork? If you were mayor of Buffalo, would you eat chicken wings with a knife and fork? If you were the mayor of Boston, would you eat clam chowder? Even there, the method is hands.
They just dip in.
Yeah. Fistfuls of chowder.
Fistfuls of chowder. Yeah. I still defend the mayor. I'm telling you, when the pizza's hot, sometimes it helps to start out by just cutting off a little piece at a time. Then you pick the whole thing up and put it in. Sorry.
I cannot defend that. But you have every right to have that opinion. So.
Maybe it's just class warfare to me. It sounds like. And the mayor doesn't live on the Upper East Side.
That's right.
I'll bet you Mikey Bloomberg ate pizza with a knife and fork.
You're probably, although
on a silver tray.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
I'm surprised he didn't try and ban pizza.
Right,
yeah.
If he'd been in office one more year, he would have banned pizza. Right. Here we go. Congressman Chris Van Hollen, the top-ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee. will be here in studio with us. And, of course, since it's Tuesday, we'll have the Arthur and Igor team. Whoa, Arthur Delaney and Igor Volsky. And then we're going to go to Mars. Oh, okay. All right. So my microphone is fritzing out a little bit here. But we'll try to keep going here. We'll get all the stories about the new sign-up numbers on the Affordable Care Act. But first,
I'm going to get into full court without a music bed because the computer is frozen in there, but I'll go in there and take a look at it here in just a second.
Okay.
Big news, I'm sure you're excited to hear, Bill. Meghan McCain has her own talk show. They'll give a show to anybody these days.
I know,
apparently.
exactly.
Pivot TV announced that they are going to start
I thought she had her own show on some other
Well, it was
network.
on Pivot TV, and they gave her like a not a mini series, but like a recurring series called Raising McCain, where she was sort of on the road talking to guests.
Oh, now it's going to be her
And
own.
now it's a nightly show. Take part live. It's going to be weekdays at midnight. Politico reported it. They said that the show Raising McCain did very, very well. And so she is the future of Pivot TV.
I'm surprised she wasn't hired by Al Jazeera.
Yes, exactly. A new...
hey,
we got
the
that. We
computer's
don't have the
back.
bed, but we do have that.
I see. All right.
The top 10 most hated companies in the United States were announced by 24/7 Wall Street
All
publication.
right. Number one,
on the
Walmart.
list. No. They are they're not even in the top 5. Number 1. Think you're along the same lines there.
Food strikes.
Oh, no, McDonald's?
McDonald's is number
Get
one.
out,
McDonald's
really?
is the number 1 most hated company in the United States, followed by Abercrombie & Fitch, the clothing line, and Electronic Arts, the video game maker, was number 3,
Really?
which I found to be odd. Yeah.
But people, they still shop there, but even though they hate it.
Even though they hate it. Yeah.
Right.
And you'll love this dueling prank war between outgoing governors of Virginia. Matt Vassalagambros, our friend from National Journal, reports on Terry McAuliffe's first day in office. It's now tradition that when you're the governor of Virginia and you leave office, you prank the incoming governor. So when Mark Warner left, he left
Remember, they accused Bill Clinton of doing that
That's
to
right.
George Bush.
These are a little more tame in terms of the pranks.
They
and
accused
some
him of it.
the
It turned out not
the
to be true,
accusations.
but go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mark Warner put a life-size cutout of himself in Tim Kaine's shower. Tim Kaine left cell phones hidden in the walls of the mansion and on top of elevators that they would call at weird hours of the night.
No.
So Bob McDonnell, when he left, he put an alarm clock in one of the drawers of the governor's bedroom to go off at some ungodly hour, which Terry McAuliffe says, I was already awake. The First Lady, however, was not.
And not happy.
Not happy.
Dorothy.
He
Yes.
also put a stuffed black bear in one of the offices for Terry
Whoa.
McAuliffe to find. So it's a serious prank war.
Yeah. That's you know what? You'd spend probably all 4 years of your governorship trying to figure out how am I going to get
Exactly.
even. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, go fix the computer here. I think I'll be okay on my own here for the next couple of minutes. Yes, indeed. The Department of Health and Human Services yesterday announced the latest numbers on the Affordable Care Act. And here's what drives me crazy, okay? I think this is pretty good news that came out of here, but right away everybody starts spinning it as bad news. Most of the headlines this morning are about the bad news that came out yesterday about Obamacare. Not enough young people signed up. Not enough people signed up. Boom, 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 boom. You know, it reminds me of that old doggerel. 2 men looked out of prison bars. One saw mud. The other stars. All right? Well, it depends. It does depend on how you look at it. I think there's a lot more good news here. Not that it's all good, but a lot more good than bad. It was Secretary Kathleen Sebelius herself who announced the numbers on the conference call with reporters yesterday.
More than 6 million Americans have now either signed up for private health insurance plans or for Medicaid coverage through the marketplace. Nearly 2.2 million signed up for private insurance through the marketplace.
Okay, so 6 million people signed up. That's bad news? I don't think so. As the secretary says, this shows that there are a lot of people who really want health care.
The numbers show that there is a very strong national demand for affordable health care made possible by the Affordable Care Act.
All right, so let's break it down, and you tell me whether you think this is good news or bad news. 866-55-PRESS. Okay, so if you break it down, there are 2.2 million people who have signed up, who have bought private health insurance through Obamacare. 2.2 million people. 950,000 of those bought it through a state exchange, one of the 14 state exchanges. And 1.2 million bought their health insurance through healthcare.gov, the federal website. If you break that down a little further and look, and this is very key, what are the demographics? Who is buying this? Okay. People are making a big deal of the fact that only 24% of those people who bought health insurance are between the ages of 18 and 34. And beforehand, the people like at the Kaiser Foundation said for Obamacare to really be solid and be able to handle all of its obligations at affordable rates, the number of young people should be in the 40% range. So clearly it's not there yet. 24% now between 18 and 34. 33% of the people are over 55. 37 find themselves in between. And so people are saying, look at that. Not enough people signed up. This is very terrible. And only 2.2 million people signed up. By the way, in addition to that, 3.9 million Americans do have now health insurance under Medicaid in those states where it has been expanded. But remember, there are some 20 states where Republican governors have refused to give people in their state the right to accept this expanded Medicaid. So there's a good reason why that number is not a lot higher. So, I could sit here and just dump on this and say, oh, see, this just proves Obamacare doesn't work. And those people who've opposed Obamacare, who voted against it, who tried to block it, who tried to repeal it 47 times, and who want to use it as their signature issue in 2014, they're going to find it easy to find reasons for dumping on these numbers and say this just proves Obamacare. We told you so, Obamacare doesn't work. But let me tell you something. Here's the truth. The truth is, I think, again, there's a lot more good news here than bad, right? The good news is, let's not overlook this. The website is working. Huh? You don't hear stories here about people not being able to sign up. The website is working. Number two, people are signing up. Clearly, more and more people are signing up every day. Number three, the numbers are growing as more and more people sign up. Number four, if you look at that, 950,000 in the states, 1.2 million in the federal website. For the first time, there are more people signing up on healthcare.gov than in the states. That's not been true so far because the state exchanges were the first ones to work. Now the federal exchange is really taking over. And also, when you look at those numbers, okay, only 24% under 34, but 55% are between 45 and 64, which is still a pretty healthy chunk of the population. I mean, people in that age range. So if you add those two together, 79%, I would say 79% are in a fairly healthy category between, and not real senior citizens, between 18 and 64. That's damn good, I think. And finally, and let's not forget this, what this means is that 6 million Americans now have health insurance for the first time that they could never before afford or they could never before get access to because they had a pre-existing condition. So that's not just spin, folks. That is the truth. That's the truth. That's why I say I think these numbers, let the Republicans try to keep running against Obamacare. Let them keep dumping on it. But I don't care what they say. This is good news, and it shows that Obamacare is working. And it's a reason to celebrate and a reason to, kind of redouble our efforts and keep going and keep those numbers growing, which they will because the Secretary is right. People want health insurance for their families, and this is their first chance to get it. Don't you think? More good than bad? 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it right here Tuesday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour. When is it bad news that 6 million Americans have signed up for Obamacare? Well, including the ones who signed up for Medicaid, which is part of Obamacare. It's bad news when you didn't like it to begin with and you want to look for any excuse to dump on it. It's good news if you really look at what the program is all about. To your calls in just a second. Peter, comments
just
first?
a quick follow-up on Bill de Blasio eating his pizza with a knife and fork. Raising one eyebrow says, it's my understanding that Bill de Blasio eats lasagna with chopsticks. So I don't think he's gone that crazy yet. On the ACA enrollment numbers, we got a couple of comments on Twitter at BP Show. You should follow us there. Join in that conversation. Jessica Ramsaran says, it's a tragedy of epic proportions. Healthcare for people who need it? Off with his head.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you want to join in, again, it's at BP Show on Twitter.
All right. It's all in the numbers, and it's all on how you play the numbers, I guess. Kevin in Stratford, Connecticut. Hello, Kevin.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. What's up? What do you think?
Well, all this talk about ACA and the Republicans trying to repeal it, I never hear once of how they're going to tell 6 million people you no longer have insurance.
Well, that's very good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. What do they do, and what do they offer as an alternative, Kevin, right?
Have you heard anything? I haven't.
No, there is nothing.
Yeah.
It is actually true. They have zero. They have no alternative. Remember they used to talk about repeal and replace? Well, they dropped the replace. They never talk about that anymore, right? Excellent point, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, what it means, here's what it means, right, for those 6 million people. First of all, for the 6 million, let's start there. For the 6 million, it means you go back to the way things used to be, right? You go back to the fact that the insurance companies are totally in charge. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can charge women double what they charge men. They can refuse to sell you an insurance policy because you had a pre-existing condition. And if you or a member of your family gets too sick and starts costing them too much money, they can drop you like a hot rock. Now, if that's what you want, then you go along with the Republicans to repeal Obamacare. It ain't going to happen. And then, of course, all those people who have not yet gone to the exchange are still holding back for whatever reason. They have until the end of March to sign up. For those people, it says that you missed the boat. The train left the station. Quickly, John in High Bridge, New Jersey. Hello, John. Hey, John, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think that I'm curious if we have 6 million people signed up now and they're trying to run against the Affordable Care Act, how many people are going to be signed up by November?
Yeah, or the end of March even. You're right. And the more people, John, you're absolutely right. The more people that sign up, the harder it is going to be for them to make the case. But don't think they won't continue to try. They're going to beat this dead horse as long as they can. From High Bridge, New Jersey, not the George Washington Bridge.
Different bridge.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes now after the hour here, the Bill Press Show on a Tuesday morning, January 14. You know what that means, fans? After Tuesday morning, it's got to be Arthur Delaney time at this time, and it is. Here he is from Huffington Post, not HuffingtonPost.com, and then the HuffPost Hill we always tell you about, which Arthur is the co-editor of, or are you now the chief publisher of, or something? No, you keep. No. Okay.
Elliot Nelson writes most of it,
and you do.
So it says by Elliot Nelson and Arthur Delaney,
and you do the daily Delaney Downer.
That's correct.
The bad economic. What if there's good economic news? Do you just ignore it?
No, we call that an upside downer.
Oh, I got it. All right. Glad you got it covered here, because we don't want just bad news on this program here, right?
There are very few upside downers. I try to stick to the bad news.
Right. Well, we certainly did not have an upside downer on Friday when the job numbers came out, right? 74,000 in December. What the hell happened? I mean, this is a holiday time when usually people get more jobs because they're temporary holiday jobs.
It was a weird, bad jobs report on Friday, in which the unemployment
and unexpected, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Everyone expected there to be more jobs, more like 200,000 than 70,000. Of course, this number is revised in the coming months, and I think it will probably be revised upward so that it looks more like other months.
God forbid it be revised downward, right? Yeah.
Right. But even more discouraging, the unemployment rate went down from 7 to 6.7%.
Why is that discouraging?
Because inside the report, you learn that there wasn't a whole lot of new employment. There were fewer people looking for jobs. So fewer people counted as part of the workforce. And, that's how they come up with the rate. And if the denominator goes down, that can make the rate go down as well as the numerator going up.
So these are just people who've been out of work and looking for a job for so long that they finally just give up. Is that it?
Quite possibly. So people need to understand how this jobs report is put together, because all the time there's this assumption that it's based on the number of people receiving unemployment insurance, and it's not. It is a monthly survey of 60,000 households. And if you tell them, and they don't just say, are you employed or unemployed? They ask you a series of questions. Have you looked for a job in the last 4 weeks? And if you say no, you don't count as part of the workforce, even though you probably want a job. And there are about 6 million people in that situation who haven't looked but would like to work, but since they're not actively looking, they are not counted. And that's all based on that survey.
These are the same 60,000 people or 60,000 random Americans?
It's not the same 60,000 every month, but I think they do follow up with some number of them.
And who does this? A Labor Department?
Yeah. The Census Bureau collects the data.
What about people who have a job?
Well, yeah. If you have a job, you tell them that and count it as employed.
Yeah. So pretty bleak, though. And after several months of over 100,000, right, in a row.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times in the past couple of years that the unemployment rate has gone down, it has been a mix of people getting jobs, but also people not looking for work and the labor force participation rate going down instead of up, which would be preferable.
So I've got an idea. I'll bet you some of those people that they talk to in that 60,000 have been out of work a long time, and they've been looking for work a long time, and their unemployment benefits are running out, or in the case of 1.3 million, have run out.
Yeah.
So how about if we extend unemployment insurance for those people to help them along as they continue to look for jobs?
Unemployment insurance for the long-term unemployed is actually, I think, the only federal policy that targets those people. There are 4 million of them, and the benefits reach, about 1.3 million. And that is what Congress has been talking about for the past few weeks because they let those benefits lapse in December.
What's the discrepancy between 4 million and 1.3?
Well, a million of that 4 million have been out of work so long they don't qualify for benefits.
I got it. Okay.
Large numbers of them have been out of work for a long time, but they didn't lose a job. They may be re-entering the workforce after going to school or, having been at home, or they, just coming out of college. So you don't qualify for unemployment unless you lost a job and you're still looking for work. So only about a million of those. Another reason is simply that the benefits don't last as long as they used to.
Okay. So the 1.3 million who lost their benefits January 1, the Senate has decided 61, I forget. But the Senate decided they're going to have a vote on this. Where are they now?
They had a vote last week.
A procedural vote.
A procedural vote.
Right.
And they needed Republicans. They got 6 of them. And so this bill was advancing, and it would have provided benefits, reauthorized those programs for 3 months.
Okay, so piece of cake. They got 6 Republicans, so let's pass it.
Well,
right?
all the Republicans who voted for it, or at least half of them, they said, we're only voting for this because we want to see it move forward, but we need spending cuts in order to really support this when it comes down to, whether...
They're demanding a pound of flesh, right?
So Harry Reid wants to give them that, but the way things are changing, it has been unpredictable. On Thursday, Harry Reid came out and said, we now have a plan that will keep the benefits for a whole year as opposed to just 3 months. So this is confusing. So they changed from the 3-month bill with no offsets to a full year thing that did have offsets.
With offsets, right.
Based on Republican ideas.
Yeah.
Or so Harry Reid claimed. All the Republicans were pissed off because they said, this isn't exactly our idea. You changed it, which he did, which was a somewhat fair thing for them to complain about. And
but he's also the boss.
He's very much the boss, and this is part of the problem. He totally alienated them by saying, here's your idea, and you can't have an amendment. And they were totally angry about that. And Harry Reid basically said, screw you. And he filed for cloture on this new thing that they were supposed to vote on yesterday, and they didn't, because Harry Reid, over the weekend, had a change of heart and has been talking to these Republicans about how he will give them a chance to have amendments after all.
Well, they probably didn't vote on it yesterday because they didn't have the votes.
Of course. And that was the development when they all said they were unhappy last week. It was pretty clear that if Harry Reid proceeded, it wouldn't work out.
So are they going to get their stuff together today?
So now Republicans are pushing again for the 3-month thing and doing that with offsets. Harry Reid presumably still wants the full year thing.
Yeah, I mean, when did we ever adopt this new theory in Congress that whatever you do, you just do it for 2 or 3 months. You know, it's like the freaking debt ceiling. It's the budget agreement. It's unemployment. You know, just do the damn thing, right?
Well, yeah,
seriously.
that might be what
every
they
2 months,
do.
every 3 months. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Here's one of the big disputes between
This Congress is the worst Congress in the history of the Republic.
I think, well,
seriously,
the polling-
they ought to throw the whole, and I got a lot of friends in that Congress. They ought to throw the whole gang of them out.
The polling,
start with a whole
the
new
people
bunch.
agree. Don't you hate Congress? Yes. Approval rating 9%. Don't you hate your congressman? No.
Well,
So that's why they never throw all
Guess
the
what?
bums out.
You got to get rid of some of the good with the bad, and you just. I mean, seriously. And then I think you ought to have they ought to have to sign a pledge, right? I'm going to be a grown up.
They do sign. They sign all kinds of pledges. They sign the Taxpayer Protection Pledge.
Well, then they have to
None of this stuff
I don't know.
works.
Then they have to keep their pledge.
Oh my God!
Yeah, right.
We are pounding desks today. Yeah.
All right. So
Can we get back to this dry policy discussion?
Well, but it pisses
and
me- it
parliamentary
pisses me off, all
procedure
these-
that I'm trying to have here.
Let me get whose show is this? Now wait a minute. One question I have. So what does any Republican get by saying I'm going to oppose giving these 1.3 million people any more unemployment insurance? I got a job. I make $175,000 a year. My family is not hurting, so screw them. How many votes is he getting by
What do
taking
they
that
get? They
attitude?
get elected because Republican voters don't really care for unemployment insurance past 6 months. According to our polling, at least, when we ask, do you want unemployed people to have help after 6 months, which is what they get from the states?
Guess what? They'd change their freaking opinion if they were all out of a job. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They would.
But,
I mean, seriously.
unemployment is something that will never affect any of these people, even if they were thrown
can't
out of office.
but
They're invincible to it because they can become consultants or whatever.
You can't say that. I mean, among their supporters, among their voters. You know,
You
a lot
could
of
go
those
find me
people,
an
they could have a job today, but they could be out of luck tomorrow. Down and out tomorrow.
I was referring
And
to
if they don't
office
think-
holders.
Oh, you're right. Well, that you're probably right because they're invincible because somebody will always hire them as a lobbyist.
Right.
Even the worst of them. I don't know. I'm just losing all faith in government now.
So here's
Suddenly,
they're
this
doing a thing
Tuesday
with
morning.
disability insurance. This is a sticking point. Do you want to hear about it?
Well, yeah. I mean, but let's kick.
We can pound our desks again.
No, let's kick the disabled while they're down. Why not? Yeah,
We're gonna have
the
to
poor,
kick
we'll
this
kick
conversation.
the disabled. We'll kick the unemployed. You want to take a break now? You want to take us to a break?
Let's kick this to after the break.
All right, we'll do that. What's the name of the show?
The Arthur Delaney Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, I just... sorry. I was just thrown here. I just looked up on the monitor here. The MSNBC Morning Joe is right now at the time talking about my column in the Hill newspaper this morning.
Wait, are you on MSNBC right now?
Which is the unbelievable Governor Christie.
Must read op-ed.
Must read op-ed. You can go to thehill.com and read my column. But what I want to know is, what are Joe and Mika saying about my column on MSNBC?
Well, I'm sure it's very
while
nice.
I'm here on the air and I don't even know. And
I'm sure it's very
Bill
nice.
Joe Scarborough is not currently waving around a copy of the newspaper, which I think is a positive sign.
Well, because
body language.
Because you know when he's waving something around, he didn't read it. So I think he's probably praising it.
I don't know. There's something going on. It seems to me that I have a right to know what they're saying about my column on MSNBC right now with a headline up there, Unbelievable Governor. Isn't that really kind of an out-of-body experience?
That's funny.
Unbelievable Chris
That's
Christie.
funny.
Unbelievable Governor Christie, Bill Press, The Hill. All right. Well,
now you have to start talking about yourself.
Well, somebody please check in, tune in, find out what they're saying, and then
I'll
call me
find
up.
Joe
It's fine.
Scarborough's latest op-ed, and you could read that today, so you just could really screw with him.
I don't know whether to be happy or sad or angry that they're what they're talking about.
Joe
Speaking of
Scarborough's
being
latest
angry-
op-ed was about how marijuana makes you dumb.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Is it still up there? That headline is it's been up there for 5 minutes. All right. Welcome back. It's 11 minutes before the top of the hour. This is the Arthur Delaney Show. Coming to you live on Free Speech TV. You can call us at 866-55-PRESS. You went after Eric. We haven't even talked about what happens when we get over to the House on this unemployment.
Oh yeah, all that stuff we said about the Senate is going to be irrelevant if they pass it. The House doesn't want to do this.
So Eric Cantor has, as you pointed out, has a whole different new approach. Correct.
I would not say I went after Eric Cantor.
I'm sorry,
His office and I have a very collaborative approach to
But you
these
said
issues.
basically he's full of crap.
Well, he said, here's what he said. Steny Hoyer is nagging him to do something on the unemployment benefits last Friday after the jobs numbers had come out and they were pretty dismal. And Eric Cantor said, we would rather focus on employment, not unemployment, which I think...
I'd like to know what they've done about employment, about jobs.
Eric Cantor will tell you
in the last 3 years that they've been in
passed the
charge.
Skills Act and some 20 other pieces of legislation which did not get any love from the Senate. So, the reason I made this into a story is it reflects the broader Republican response to economic stuff. You know, as we saw last week with the war on poverty and all the big speeches, they do not want to be attacked so much from the left about this.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, John Boehner clearly, right, in 2010, when they were running, give us back control of the House, and jobs is going to be our focus. Jobs. Yeah, right. and so now they say they passed 20 jobs bills. Their jobs bills, as they define them, right, are bills that give tax breaks to the wealthiest of Americans.
Well,
or
this
the big corporations.
This thing he talked about on Friday is the Skills Act. It consolidates federal job training. The GAO, which is an independent voice, says many of them are duplicative. President Obama is in favor of some sort of reform of that.
Yeah, so it's a mini little tinkering.
Well, Democrats
right, which is fine.
hate it so much they would not even sit in the hearing room while it was discussed. So they it did not get the kind of bipartisan backing it probably could have.
If they're serious about jobs, they would help people with their unemployment insurance, because these people have no other recourse, right? I mean, you talk to these people, that's what you report on with your daily Delaney Downer. These people,
yes.
I mean, they don't get their unemployment check. It's not like, oh, there's one other little dividend from some stock that I'm not getting, but I got all the rest of my dividends coming in. No, right? That's it for
You're
them.
right, yes. I interviewed a few people yesterday who were among the 1.3 million whose benefits stopped. And this lady in Stanton, Virginia, which is about 3 hours from Washington, said, I just got cancellation notices from my car insurance, my light bill, and my cable. The cable, of course, is also the internet, which is the only way you can apply for jobs these days. Go and bring your resume and knock on some doors, and you will be told, go home and email it to us or apply through our whatever online form we've got. Right. So it's screwing people over.
Yeah, I was at the White House last week when President Obama had some people come in who had just lost their unemployment insurance. The woman who introduced him, this woman from Connecticut, 2 sons in the military now in Iraq and Afghanistan, serving, and she wears a coat and a hat inside of her house because she can't afford. She can't pay her heating bill. So right.
You're already past the 6-month mark. You're out of savings. You're strapped.
Yeah.
So these benefits stop. Your life is very disrupted.
Right. So if they want to do something, help those people and raise a minimum wage.
So what Cantor was saying basically is the Senate can do this, send it over with the offsets and the budget cuts that are the Republicans in the Senate like. We still would like to see that plus something that we have already shown, demonstrated our interest in that we say would create jobs. So even if it gets through the Senate, it's got a long way to go still. So I would not bank on it.
Well, the answer may be, and I think probably the answer is, the midterm elections in 2014. Throw the bums out. Arthur Delaney, thank you for letting me be a guest on your show this morning.
You're welcome, Bill.
Can I come back next Tuesday?
You come back next Tuesday.
All right. I'll be there. Arthur Delaney at Huffington Post, HuffingtonPost.com. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go. Hey, we were telling you, so just sort of an out-of-body experience here very quickly. Joe and Mika talking about my column in The Hill this morning at thehill.com. Mike is calling from Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Mike, what were they saying?
Well, Mika was, praising, as I would. It's a well-written op-ed, and the problem I had with it is, of course, Joe leans in the course of 4.5 minutes, mentions Benghazi, the IRS, and healthcare.gov 4 or 5 times.
Oh, no.
Yeah, of course. So it was unwatchable, Bill. Unwatchable.
Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry. I would have hung in there, but I just was like, wow, I can't believe it.
Okay. Hey, Mike, thanks for...
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, man.
Well, good for Mika. Mika, I love her. I love Arthur Delaney. Igor Volsky's coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Son, you wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Tuesday, January 14. Can you believe it? And here we are on the Bill Press Show this Tuesday morning with a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of stuff you are going to want to talk about, coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and our studio on Capitol Hill, and booming out to you live on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV. Free Speech TV, of course, on the Dish Network or DirecTV, and TawkrTV at YouTube, youtube.com/TawkrTV. So President Obama fighting a rear guard action here in Washington on Iran. He finally, because of some very tough sanctions, has been able to drag Iran to the negotiating table. They've agreed to scale back their nuclear weapons program, or their nuclear program. They deny it has anything to do with weapons. And we've agreed to scale back our sanctions, but now some senators are trying to undermine that, pull the rug out from under President Obama by slapping even tougher sanctions on Iran. Big mistake, and President Obama is trying to convince them not to do it. Christie's discovered he is not out of the woods yet by far. Two bits of big bad news for him yesterday. First, the state legislature announced creation of a super committee to look into the Bridgegate scandal, and it was announced that federal officials are now investigating whether or not Governor Christie misused Hurricane Sandy funds by making tourism ads which featured him and his own family. And we learned yesterday that 2.2 million people have now signed up for the Affordable Care Act, 950,000 on through the state exchanges, 1.2 million through the federal website. So Obamacare is working. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Here we go, Tuesday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
is the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show, where it is perfectly acceptable to eat pizza with a knife and fork. I want to defend Bill de Blasio in this latest scandal. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. Now, that's not the whole pizza, but you can start off with a knife and fork, and then you got to pick it up and smash it in your mouth with your hands for the rest of it. Tuesday, that's settled. Let's go on to the rest of the news of the day. Tuesday, January 14. Good to see you today. The Bill Press Show coming to you live everywhere in this great land of ours on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV, and on our video stream at TawkrTV. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the program, and join me in welcoming. It's Tuesday morning, so Igorian alert. Igorian alert.
Igorians assemble!
Igorians assemble in front of the tube for Igor Volsky this morning from Think Progress, managing editor. Igor, good morning.
Good morning, and
you were shouting out to us loud and clear with that shirt this morning.
Thank you. It's a bright shirt. Also want you to know I eat my pizza with chopsticks. So
is that right?
I'm thankful that you are open to alternative ways of eating
pizza. Do you
pizza.
eat your pizza, your clam chowder with chopsticks
yes,
as well?
Yes.
Scoop it out with your hands. Just like you
do
pizza.
That's what they do in the Ogburn household.
That's right.
Right.
That's right, man.
Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Alicia Cruz there on the phone, standing by to take your calls about pizza, clam chowder, or anything else in the news this morning. And if we're looking good, say a big thank you to Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, for Free Speech and the video stream. Well, it was Chris Christie for a long time has been the fodder for late night comics, but even more so these days with the Bridge Gate scandal. Jay Leno yet again last night.
Well, we're learning more and more about this George Washington Bridge scandal thing. According to USA Today, during that December traffic jam in Fort Lee, a 2-block commute, which normally would take 5 minutes, took upwards of 45 minutes to an hour to drive.
Mm-hmm.
As we call that in L.A., make a pretty good time. Wow, that's not bad. We kill for that on the 405. That'd be fantastic. Well,
I can tell you, having lived in L.A. for 9 years, yeah, indeed.
He has a political future on the West Coast, it
seems.
seems.
Get on the 405, you just know, man, you're going to be in the parking lot. Yeah, just about, indeed. So we want to talk more Chris Christie with Igor, and Think Progress has taken a look at the 1,000 pages of documents released on Friday. I don't know how you got...
Still resting my eyes. Can't even look at you.
All of that, but Igor's got it broken down to tell us all about it. We're also going to be joined by Congressman Chris Van Hollen in studio with us in the next hour. Congressman Chris Van Hollen.
Sent some hit list, I
He
hear.
made Hillary's hit list, and he's not sure why. And the second half of this hour, we are going to Mars. We're going to talk to one of the leaders of NASA, at any rate, about the mission to Mars. I'm very excited about that.
You going?
You can hang around, Igor, if you want to.
Oh,
going to Mars.
Oh, I am. Yeah.
If you haven't already been there,
Igorians and Mars.
For us, Carol and I last year, the year before it was Istanbul. Last year it was Sicily.
Yeah. Mars, next natural
I've been looking
progression.
for a destination for Mars. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Yes, exactly. We fixed the computer, so here we are with the Full Court Press. I still think it's crazy to eat pizza with a knife and fork, but I wouldn't be so upset if you tried to eat this with a knife and fork. In Seattle, the Seahawks debuted a new burger over the weekend for their playoff game. It's called the Beast Burger. Ooh. Here's what's on it. 2 burger patties, 2 slabs of bacon, 2 slabs of ham, 2 slices of cheddar cheese, onion rings, a side of fries, and a side of Skittles.
That's it?
That's it. That's it. Yes, it's called the Beast Burger, named after Marshawn Lynch, their running back, nicknamed the Beast. His favorite candy is Skittles. It was so popular this weekend that they are actually, there's a picture of it right here.
Okay, the Skittles are on the side, people, not in the burger. I was a little
They're
worried.
in a bag on the side. They don't put the Skittles on the burger. We're going to tweet out a picture of that so you can take a look at it. It was so successful over the weekend that they're going to be selling them again this weekend.
It's gross.
$15 is what the burger costs.
This is like the heart attack burger in Vegas.
Pretty much, yes. It's heavy.
Eat it while you're young.
This weekend, Bill, I know you're excited. I know you're excited about this. It's the 13th annual No Pants Subway Ride.
I thought it was last weekend. No?
No, it's this coming weekend.
Oh,
it's this coming weekend.
I don't want to do that too soon.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
Oh, no. I was wondering what was going on. I was the only person on the subway without pants. You were a little early.
Now they tell me.
This weekend, you can sign up. It was started by a group called Improv Everywhere in New York City back in 2002. About 60 cities participate in this. 4,000 people have signed up to go pantsless in New York City, and 1,200 people have signed up to go pantsless in Paris.
They meet here at L'Enfant Plaza. I read about this, and I took the metro to Pentagon City Sunday, and when I read about this, I thought it was last week, and I was sort of disappointed in myself that I didn't take my pants off.
I wish I could have been there to see you get on the subway and just take your pants off and slowly look around and wonder why nobody else wasn't doing it.
Oh, man.
You keep your underpants on.
You're just going
to
ride the subway all day next weekend.
Yeah, please keep your underpants on.
Yeah.
You may catch a social disease if you get on the subway. And, Bill, I know you're a big fan of this show, 16 and Pregnant on MTV. They chronicle teenagers who are pregnant.
That's Meghan McCain's show?
That's it.
Oh.
That's it. They chronicle teenagers who have babies who are, 16 years old around there.
I know I know where you're going. Right.
So here's the good news. It seems like it's a crazy cash-in on reality TV, sort of exploiting these young kids. It turns out it has led to a 5.7 reduction in teen births in the last 18 months since it came on. Kids are watching. They're seeing how hard it is for young mothers to, and a lot of them, in a lot of these cases, single mothers, to have these kids, and they're going, this is not for me. And so it's helping curb teen pregnancy.
We're challenging this on Think Progress. It might be up, or it's going up this morning, but there's a whole counter argument that could dispute this entire notion. So be ready.
I got so excited.
Oh, yeah, it's here. It's debunking the latest Obamacare myth. No, that's not. What am I doing? I'll stop. That's not even the right thing.
Igor.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't try to. Igor.
God, it's not up yet. It's not up yet.
Now the fact that you showed up with your pants off and started to look really weird.
Embarrassing.
Maybe this is just a goof on your part. Oh, my goodness.
I learned a long time ago, you don't do this stuff on the fly.
No, I just saw it and I thought myth. I saw myth and I thought pregnant. No.
All right, okay.
Send it into you this morning. You'll see. Be sorry you ever mentioned that study.
I think we just proved to people who had any question that this show is not scripted.
How can you tell?
You stepped on my line.
We are here with Igor Volsky to talk about, among other things, we want to start with the Chris Christie stuff, but I've got to mention again, go to thehill.com or go to our website, billpressshow.com, or we'll tweet out to all of our followers on Facebook and Twitter. My column this morning in the Hill newspaper about Chris Christie, the headline, Unbelievable Gov Christie. And what's so funny about this is we were just in the last hour, while we're in the middle of the show, I happened to look up, and there on Morning Joe was this headline, Bill Press, Unbelievable Governor Christie. And Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough were talking about my column, and I'm sitting here. I don't have the sound up, of course, because we're on our own show, and here they are talking about my column. And I don't know what they're saying about it, but they spent a good over 5 minutes talking about it this morning. So at any rate, you can read the column yourself. But Igor, you have taken a look at the documents that came out Friday after the day after Governor Christie held his news conference, saying I knew nothing about this, and you broke down kind of what those documents showed. Basically, that more people than we thought knew what was going on.
A lot of people knew, and it was clear that about 1,000 pages of correspondence. And I think the most damning revelation here is that the chairman of the Port Authority, who issued a statement after the story broke on Thursday, that he knew nothing about this, and Christie in his press conference said he knows nothing about it, knew what was going on, and was involved in the correspondence and involved in the emails in the early days of the study. But to me, what was most damning... Really? Oh, yeah. He was. This study started on Monday. And they knew on Monday, September 9th, that it was causing huge...
You mean the traffic study?
The so-called traffic study. The cones, the lane diversion,
right. Okay.
Started on Monday.
First day of school, by the way.
That's right. They knew the traffic was backed up and causing major problems in Fort Lee. Those local lanes were troubled. They knew at least 2 emergency vehicles on Monday couldn't get through. They knew there was a possibility that a 4-year-old girl was missing who was later found, but because of the congestion, there was trouble in solving that issue. Yet they maintained the closings for 3 more days, despite the reports they were receiving. And nobody knew how long this was going to last. What kind of traffic study is this that you don't know the duration of the study? You decide on the fly how much longer the study is going to, be studied, so to speak. I mean, that's where you kind of see the red flags, is that in these correspondence, they're told of all these problems and nobody says, let's slow this down. Let's maybe delay this if this is some kind of real thing.
What they do say is, let's not have any public discussion of this, and let's not let the media talk to the media about it at all. Because obviously they knew it was a hot potato. I want to take that one level higher, which is what I talk about in my column, and I've said this on the air here too. It's also unbelievable that the governor of New Jersey hears about this on day one, at the end of the first hour even, and this guy who's such a hands-on.
You talk to anyone, they say
micromanager kind of
he's in charge,
kind of governor, right? Didn't just raise holy hell from the beginning and demand a top-to-bottom investigation of who started this and whose idea was this, whose dumbass idea was this, the whole thing. Instead, Christie made fun of it for 4 months.
That's really the other big tell.
That's what I find unbelievable about the whole thing.
In the way
that's why I call him unbelievable.
Unbelievable in the way he responded in the days during the study. But also in his press conference, you really got the sense that he didn't care about the people who were stuck in traffic for hours.
Right.
He didn't care about the people who were delayed receiving medical care, including a 91-year-old person who later died. What he cared about was himself and the fact that somebody lied to him. And that's it.
Now, there's a new wrinkle now, another dimension of this, more trouble for Chris Christie. Yesterday it was revealed that the Inspector General here for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, I believe, one of the federal agencies, is conducting an investigation into possible misuse of Hurricane Sandy funds. A member of Congress, Frank Pallone, who's a Democrat from New Jersey, has said that he misused these funds. He used this money that went to Hurricane Sandy relief to create ads to promote tourism in New Jersey, which featured him and his family.
Yeah, they had about $25 million for a tourism campaign, and they opened a bidding process for ad companies to bid on who's going to produce these things. There were basically 2 bids in the final round. One was for $4.7 million. Another was for $2.7 million. And while both bids satisfied the requirements of the commercials, the $2.7 million didn't include Christie and his family. The $4.7 million did. And so the committee that decided on who's going to make the ads, which was stacked with Christie appointees and was run by a woman who was so close to Chris Christie that she borrowed $47,000 from him while he was the Attorney General. Just borrowed $47,000.
U.S. attorney. Yeah.
While he was U.S. attorney, just for personal reasons.
A friend.
Decided on the $4.7 million ad campaign because in their proposal, they featured Christie and his family. Those ads ran, and you had a wave of criticism, not only from Democrats in the state who are saying, why are you using taxpayer funds to promote yourself during your reelection bid, but also conservatives like Rand Paul, who railed against these ads and said that it's wasteful and it's highly, highly inappropriate. So that's another investigation that's brewing about who and why did they decide to spend $2 million extra taxpayer dollars from a pot of money that's meant to help people affected by Hurricane Sandy?
Oh, my God. Shocking. a politician.
These
should
ads were
spend
running
money
while
promoting himself and his family.
But the ads were running, Bill, while victims of the storm still haven't gotten relief. That's really the outrageous part.
That's what people are looking into. That's why this is a serious charge. There were really people hurt by that. It's obvious by Sandy who didn't get the relief, and there were real people hurt on the bridge.
Yeah.
And it looks like in either case, Christie didn't care. Also, big news and Think Progress and Igor Volsky have the latest on this with the numbers reported yesterday on signups for the Affordable Care Act. Good news or bad news? Find out from Igor on the other side. 866-55-PRESS, the toll-free number. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour.
Stay on script, guys. Jeez.
Just had an email from our friend, but might as well tell people what's going on. Our friend Patty McFarland, who's the makeup artist at MSNBC, talking about the Chris Christie column this morning in The Hill, which was featured on Morning Joe this morning. We have one quick call on Chris Christie, Igor, before we move on. Igor Volsky is here from Think Progress. Check it out, thinkprogress.org. Here's Tim from a constituent, Collinswood, New Jersey. Hi, Tim.
Hi, this is Tim O'Neill from George Norcross Country, New Jersey.
Okay,
got it.
Listen, I just want to say that I've heard on TV about all the charges and the investigations, but I haven't heard that anybody's really investigating about any criminal charges into the woman, the poor lady that died as a result of this. Something like the depraved indifference or something like that.
That's a good point, Tim. I haven't either. The only criminal charge I've heard is the U.S. attorney might look into the fact that closing a bridge down for political payback is a crime.
Yeah, there is that super committee now. I think it's going to look at it holistically, look at why, all the causes. So there could be something that comes out as a result of that.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Tim, for the call. So, Igor, just a little time left. Yesterday, Kathleen Sebelius announced the latest numbers, the sign-up numbers. 6 million people signing up for Affordable Care Act, 1.2 at the federal site, 950,000 through the states, 3.9 in Medicaid, and 24% of them only are young people. Republicans are saying, this proves Obamacare is a disaster, isn't working, we have to repeal it.
Well, 24% is below the 40% threshold, which is what you need for young people to really get a good mix. But you can get to 40 because you have until March 31st to sign up. And that's really the key. Yep. We saw at the end of December just a rush of young people signing up. They're going to start their kind of get out and enroll campaign. And that's really going to be key in pulling those people into coverage. And if they can get near 40, March 31st, they're on target and this thing's going to work, I think.
And I think, by the way, I added up this morning, between 45 and 64 is 55%. You add that to 24%, 79% of the people signed up are under retirement age. That's still a pretty healthy chunk of the population, right?
There you go. And that's, the breakdown, that's going to be key. Not the number, but the breakdown. In the
Absolutely. All right. We'll come back and go to Mars. How about that? Thanks, Igor.
Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, what do you say? 33 minutes after the hour now. Here we go. It is Tuesday, January 14. Good to see you today. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital and brought to you by the NEA, the good men and women of the National Education Association under President Dennis Van Rokel, making a difference in America's classrooms every day. You bet, and you can find out more about their good work. We salute our teachers, thank them for their support. Go to the website at NEA.org. They are doing a great job in the classrooms of this planet and maybe someday the classrooms of another planet, maybe even Mars. That's the dream and the mission of a group called Explore Mars. Executive Director Chris Carberry joins us in studio this morning. Hello, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
How far are we from human exploration on Mars?
Well, if we take the right, make the right choices right now, we're about 20 years out. We could very well land humans on Mars by the 2030s.
What's the atmosphere there? I mean, what would people have to...
Well, they have to bring their own atmosphere. There's a CO2 atmosphere. It's much thinner than Earth. However, there is a lot of... there are resources on the planet which we could utilize to manufacture our own, oxygen and water and everything else. So there's a lot of resources there where we could live off the land. So that's one of the reasons why it's an appealing location to send humans.
So they'd have to be wearing like oxygen masks or living in contained vessels or something like that.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Now you are not part of NASA, but you work with NASA, correct?
Yes, Explore Mars is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're fairly new. We were founded 4 years ago now, in 2010, basically to work policy, STEM education, so it's appropriate, the NEA's sponsoring this program because we do a lot of STEM work. So we run programs, and we're about to start launching some innovation and technical projects as well.
And your idea is now is NASA committed to? First of all, we do have these rovers on Mars, right? 2 of them.
Yeah, we currently have 2 operational rovers on Mars. The most recent one, the Curiosity rover, that landed a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago, and then we have the Opportunity rover, which landed over 10 years ago, has been going remarkably well for so many years.
Are they going to meet up?
No, they're not going to meet up unless they go a really long time.
Don't you think it'd be, the only 2 kind of human machine or contraptions or whatever, or contributions to Mars that they'd want to meet up and just sort of, have a beer or something?
And that would be
seriously, wouldn't you?
Is that a sequel to Her?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, actually, I'd be more intrigued if we could have people meet up with them first.
I would too. Yeah, I understand. I just was curious. But so they're up there. But is NASA now committed to putting people, and I started to say a man on Mars. No, but we have to say a person on Mars now.
A person, humans to Mars.
Humans to
Well,
Mars.
the current policy, broadly speaking, is supposed to be getting humans to Mars somewhere in the 2030s, but it's very vague on whether we're landing, if it's just going to be a flyby or anything else. So the policy right now is vague. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do that. We did this activity recently trying to bring all the stakeholders together, basically the people who designed the mission, the science folks, NASA and others, in a kind of separate from NASA, to talk about, first off, is this feasible by 2030? And there was consensus, it absolutely is, and we can do it in a way that could be affordable as well. Not within a sequestration budget, but with roughly the same amount of budget, if we make the right decisions and we can achieve political and budgetary stability, we can actually achieve this goal. And oddly enough, it's not necessarily the engineering which is the main problem from what I've been observing from all these key players. It's the politics and the budget, being able to maintain a program that many years and create budgetary stability.
So in other words, we have the technology to do it. What we need is the will to do it and make it a priority, correct?
Absolutely.
Like John F. Kennedy said, we're going to put a man on the moon.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the real challenge.
So, but isn't there a big leap between landing a mission on the moon where they get off like Neil Armstrong did and walk around, take some pictures, right, and then get back on the ship and leave, as to really staying there for a while and starting a colony there? Or
that's absolutely. There's a lot more.
When you say 20 years, you just mean humans reaching the planet, don't you?
Yeah, just the first missions to Mars. Now, these will be continuous missions, but we have a lot to learn. There's no question about it. There are an awful lot of technologies we need to develop along the way and learn how to live away from the planet for a long period of time. Lots of challenges, but we're not going to actually solve any of them until we decide to do it. But when people say, well, can we do it? Is it feasible? Well, I guarantee it's far more feasible going to Mars in 20 years than when JFK made his speech. We had 15 minutes of spaceflight experience when JFK made his speech, and he said we're going to land on people on moon by the end of the decade, and we did in 8 years. That was remarkable, but it was far less feasible to go to the moon when JFK made his speech.
All right, now, I've traveled a lot, right? I've never been to India. I've never been to Egypt. I've never been to Australia. Why the hell do I want to go to Mars?
Well, I get that. I understand that. Now, our space program, first off, we need some ambitious goals. And if we're exploring space, Mars is the most logical location to send humans. Now, there's some good locations.
Better than the moon?
Better than the moon in the sense that it does have an atmosphere. It is the only planet, at least, that we can reach that might have been able to support life. It may still actually support microbial life. There is a growing body of evidence that there actually is microbial life subsurface on Mars. So it probably will take people to discover that. Plus, it's actually the only planet that we can actually reach, and we know of, where humans could actually survive for long durations of time. The moon is close. That's a definite benefit.
Yeah, it is, right. It is closer, right?
Yeah, so, that's much closer. So there is a definite benefit there. But
the winters are so cold on the moon. You really want to go somewhere nicer. Yeah.
What do you know? Your sons told you that, right?
Yeah, sure.
They are very cold, except without any atmosphere. The difference between the light and the dark is remarkable, hundreds of degrees difference. So you could literally freeze and boil at the same time on the moon if you are standing in shadow and light without a spacesuit.
Wow.
You convinced me, but I don't want to go to the moon then. But haven't convinced me yet about Mars. But I'm sure you get that question. I mean, it is. Look, Columbus faced that question. Why do we want to cross the damn ocean? Right? I mean, there's always this why aren't we happy where we are? So what do you tell the skeptics that you meet in the Congress? The Tea Party people don't want to spend money on anything. Why should we be spending money, to not to explore, just to explore space, but to actually maybe even, send humans out there and colonize it?
Well, basically, I'll take first the historical perspective. Generally, when countries and societies are expanding or exploring, that really is when they are expanding. It's generally the greatest technology leaps forward in technology innovation have been when we're doing great projects like this, exploring, trying to understand the unknown. And, really it's actually beneficial to Earth as well. Most environmentalists should be very much in favor of this as well, because, by learning about other planets, we learn about our own planet as well. Like within science, you never look at one sample and assume you know everything about that sample. You need to look at other samples as well. And Mars is another sample. And so there's another reason. We've probably the best environmental theory of the 20th century was learned or discovered because of looking at Venus, the greenhouse effect. Because Venus has runaway greenhouse effect. It's 900 degrees with really thick clouds. But Mars seems to be on the opposite end of the spectrum. It used to be a warm, wet place, from all evidence, and now it's not. And trying to figure out what happened to that planet can help us learn about our own. But from my perspective, what is even more important, why we want to do it, there are lots of scientific reasons, but national morale and exciting the country and STEM education. When we went to the moon, we literally doubled the number of science and engineering degrees because people were excited. Students were really engaged, and they thought they were going to be able to get involved in great projects for exploring space. I'm a supporter of education, but I doubt that we would have had these same results if we had just invested that in education. Because sometimes you need that spark, that catalyst. And frankly, at this point in time in our history, I think it's the right time. I think Americans have a confidence problem, and I think they need to be reminded that we're still capable of this. And with the space program, while it is expensive, it's not as expensive as people think. It's less than half of 1% of the federal budget. So if we can show by this project that we can do it for roughly the same amount of money, we could actually do an ambitious mission to Mars and other things for roughly the same budget without major increases in the NASA budget. Why wouldn't we? I think it's a far more efficient use of taxpayer dollars. If we're going to be spending the money anyway, let's do something bold and exciting.
And how long would it take to get there?
It takes about 6 to 8 months to get there.
Wow.
It's a long trip. Yeah.
That's pack a lunch. All right. We will be back. This is fascinating stuff. I've always been a big supporter of the space program. And I think you have to have these goals, and I think that maybe we'll talk about that when we come back, but that's where NASA may be falling a little short these days. Chris Carberry is with us. He is the executive director of Explore Mars. It's one word, exploremars.org. You want to sign up? What are the chances? How do you get involved in this? How you can support it? Find out more. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Let's go.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, we are going to go to Detroit to the current Detroit Auto Show to find out what the hottest items there on the floor are. And then Congressman Chris Van Hollen from state of Maryland, top-ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee, will be here in studio with us. Right now, we're talking exploration to Mars with Chris Carberry, who's the executive director of exploremars.org, that says that we could have a human mission to Mars in 20 years if we put our mind and our dollars to it. What do the American people think about this? You said some members of Congress are a little reluctant to spend the money. The American people like it?
Interesting, they do. I know this because we actually commissioned a poll last year. We commissioned it with Boeing and Phillips and Company of Austin, Texas. We were curious because as we were moving forward with our policy, we wanted to kind of get a baseline to see, where the public stood.
Right.
And we did the polling back last February, back right in the middle of the sequestration battle. So we were wondering this might not be a great time to do polling, but we should know if there's low support. So we put together the poll, and the results are remarkable. Extraordinary support. Over 70% of the public believe we'll actually land on Mars by the 2030s. In that level, there's generally that support. Interestingly, the first question was also kind of showed the perspective of what they think it costs to do it. Our first question was, what percentage of the federal budget do you believe NASA incorporates? We asked this because we've heard all these anecdotal tales of people thinking it costs like 10, 20%, and that's been part of the problem. And so the average, we only gave them between 0 and 6%, just kind of control it. The average answer was 2.5% when it's actually less than half of 1%. We then asked them, we then gave them the answer, and then asked the rest of the questions. And I think that giving that budgetary perspective, that context, really helps people. I think there's a lot of support, but when they start thinking, well, there are so many other issues, there are budget issues, can we support this? But when they were shown what percentage it actually represented, I think it removed that guilt factor, and they thought, of course we should. And a large percentage, over 50, I think it was over 70%, thought we should double the NASA budget when they heard what percentage it was. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but it was really telling, particularly when we're right in the middle of this big sequestration battle.
So is this then a program with that kind of support Why wouldn't private companies get involved? And why does the government have to do it? Couldn't you mentioned Boeing? I mean, why don't they build a spaceship and start signing people up?
Well, there are private companies that have this in mind. SpaceX and some other commercial companies.
What's the guy with Virgin Atlantic? I mean,
Richard Branson. He's doing Virgin Galactic, except they're not planning on going to Mars.
Right.
They're just starting probably commercial service to suborbit later this year. They actually just had a powered flight test just the other day. It was very successful.
But why not go to Mars? I mean,
it takes, at this level for Mars, it's still likely to take that sort of government support. Now, there are companies like Boeing, like SpaceX, like Lockheed and others who are willing to, do an awful lot of legwork, they wouldn't for other sorts of contracts. So part of doing this successfully is finding new models for doing it. At our workshop last month, there was agreement. We have to find new ways of doing it, and with making an international partnership as well, and just find ways of making it as efficient as possible.
Well, I was going to ask you about that international partnership, because I find it a little embarrassing as an American today that the only way we can get our people up into space is to hitchhike a ride on a Russian rocket, right? A Russian missile. I mean, so is the U.S. going to get back in the space business, or are we still going to be bumming rides from the Russians?
Oh, well, we actually are in the process. That you're right, it is embarrassing. It's gone too long. But we are in the process of solving that problem. There are commercial companies like SpaceX and other companies that are, and Boeing, who are, developing crew vehicles to get them to and from the International Space Station. So that's a separate program, try to have the commercial sector start servicing low Earth orbit. And so we are about to solve that. But we were talking about international missions, but when we actually go as far as Mars, that takes more. And most people agree at this point, this is probably going to be a U.S.-led international mission. And in some ways, this could be the greatest legacy of the International Space Station, because the International Space Station would not exist, probably, if it hadn't been an international mission, because many times in the past, Congress has wanted to cut it off, and others have. But because it was tied together by treaties and strong international agreements, it wasn't as easy as cutting something that was just an American program. It involved the State Department and everything else. So we hope we can utilize that partnership to create a sustainable program to Mars. And, I got
to cut in just because we're just about out of time, but I want you to tell us, you have a summit coming up here. People can find out about this upcoming summit. When is it?
It's the Humans to Mars Summit. It's April 22nd through 24th at George Washington University.
Okay, and they can find out more at exploremars.org,
Yes,
right?
they can.
April
22nd through 24th.
22nd to 24th here in Washington, D.C. Humans to Mars. There you go. Are you interested in supporting or signing up? Chris Carberry is Executive Director of Explore Mars, exploremars.org. Thanks, Chris, so much for coming in.
And thank you for having me.
All right, see you on Mars.
All right, thanks.
I'll be back to tell you what the president's up to today. Not quite so exotic.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek, now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the product suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
All right, we know you've been having lots of fun during these first 2 hours of the Bill Press Show. More fun coming up in hour number 3. And since you can't catch us on Free Speech TV, jump over to the video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. Of course, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, one of the top Democrats in the House of Representatives, will be here in studio, and then we'll jump out to Detroit and take a look at all the latest models in the Detroit Auto Show. Studio in the next hour, and also Detroit Auto Show. President Obama, busy schedule today because his daily briefing at 10 o'clock, and then he has a cabinet meeting at 11 o'clock, and Joe Biden's going to be there for the cabinet meeting. I mean, he's still in the air coming back from Israel, but he's the vice president, jumping into the schedule today too. Then the president and the vice president have lunch at 12:30 together. They have lunch every week. Hope Joe can stay awake for lunch. The president will be honoring the Miami Heat in the East Room this afternoon. He meets with the Executive Committee of the National Governors Association this afternoon, and then meets with Defense Secretary Hagel, and then with Maria Shriver on her new report on the status of women in this country. What a busy day. Our press briefing at 1:15.
This is the Bill Press Show.
before they're...
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, this is Southwest Airlines, and you have landed at the right airport. Don't worry. I'm the pilot. I know where I'm going. Hey, and I hope we got you to where you think you're going. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. How about it? Tuesday, January 14. Thanks for joining us here. The Bill Press Show coming to you live, coast to coast, right from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., booming out to you on your local progressive talk radio station and on our video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Lots going on this morning. President Obama fighting a little rear guard action, trying to prevent some Republicans and some Democratic senators from undermining the big agreement we just reached with Iran. Some senators want to still slap on some tougher sanctions at this time, which might undo the entire deal. Also, the Senate gearing up maybe to vote as early as today on extending unemployment benefits for the 1.3 million Americans who lost them January 1. Christie in more hot water today after it was revealed yesterday that federal officials, here in Washington, are looking into whether or not he misused, I should say, Hurricane Sandy relief funds by using those to create tourism ads for the New Jersey shore, which featured the governor himself and his own family. All kinds of stuff going on today. We will bring you up to date on as much as we have time for and take your calls, as many as we can, at 866-55-PRESS. Team Press in place this morning, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
For starters,
good morning.
Good morning. With Alicia Cruz there on the phones, Cyprian Bolding on the video cam, our videographer, keeping us looking good on TawkrTV. That's TawkrTV. A lot of you ask how to spell it. Doesn't everybody spell Tawker? TawkrTV?
That's right.
That's
now I do.
That's how I learned to spell it, at any rate. Hey, lots coming up here. By the way, what a crazy story. You know, they do tell you when you go to the movies now, turn your cell phone off, right? And not only keep your phone off, but don't check messages.
Don't text.
And whatever you do, don't
check
text.
Twitter.
Exactly.
Any of that stuff.
And that's a temptation, but because, it's not loud to be texting.
Let me tell you,
but
when you go into a movie, you just put it on airplane mode.
Airplane mode.
Airplane mode. You don't get any text. You can't get on Twitter. You can't do anything.
Right. Because it is a distraction when people, even if you can't hear it, they have their phone on.
Sure.
You can see the light and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, down in Tampa, one guy got so angry at somebody else who was texting near him that he actually shot him. Here's the sheriff down in Tampa telling us what happened.
This is a man who just shot somebody over texting. So I'm not sure what was going through his mind at that time.
Yeah, well, who wondered? And the guy was sitting there with his wife. His wife saw the gun. Guy pulls out this is Florida, right? Where you can carry a concealed weapon. This is why it's not a good idea. Anyhow, she sees this guy pulls out a gun. She puts out her hand to try to block the shot. Again, the
Nicole
sheriff.
Olson, the wife of Chad Olson, puts her hand in front of her husband. One shot was fired. She was injured, and unfortunately, Chad Olson was fatally injured from that shot.
Shot and killed in the theater.
For texting.
For texting, yeah.
Such a sad story.
It is. Don't text in the movies, but also don't go to such
It should be
extreme.
punishable by death.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here we go. We're going to jump out the top of this hour to Detroit to find out what's hot in the North American Auto Show. No, it's North American International Auto Show, if you please. And then Congressman Chris Van Hollen from Maryland will be coming into studio as well a little bit later. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Bill, are you familiar with the company Nest? Nest, they have a thermostat control. It's like a smart thermostat for your house. So So you can control it with an app on your phone, and it learns when your house is warmest and coolest, and it adjusts the temperature. It's supposed to save you a lot of money. It's very cool. Well,
no, I never heard of it.
They were just bought by Google for $3.2 billion in cash.
My God.
Wow. In cash.
I wish I had started it.
$3.2 billion. It was started by one of the guys that created the original iPod.
Yeah.
And the whole idea here is that it sort of learns what you're doing inside your house and the way that your house moves and the temperature fluctuates. They also have something called the Protect smoke detector, and it also is sort of like a smart smoke detector. They are now owned by Google.
I mean, we're going to talk about smart cars in just a little bit here with Melanie. Is it Batenchuk or?
Yeah, Batenchuk, I believe.
Batenchuk but smart cars, but smart houses too.
Yep,
you know,
absolutely. Congratulations to Disney's Frozen. The movie is now the highest-grossing Disney movie ever. A title that was previously held by The Lion King. They've now crossed over the $600 million mark globally.
Is that right?
That's the highest-grossing Disney flick of all time.
I am proud to say that I helped them out.
I haven't seen it yet.
This Christmas
I know, me
holiday,
neither. I'm going to have to go.
I helped them out with two of our grandsons.
I got young kids.
Two of our grandsons, yep.
And 24/7 Wall Street has a list of the top 10 most hated companies in the United States, and at the top of the list was the Golden Arches. McDonald's is the most hated company in America.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, exactly. You're not alone. Abercrombie & Fitch was number 2, and at number 3 was Electronic Arts, the game manufacturer. So there you go. 24/7 Wall Street, top 10 most hated companies in the United States.
All right, you got it. It is open, underway. Well, the previews are out there now. January 18 is when it officially opens, and that is the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Melanie Batenchuk is the president of the Washington Automotive Press Association, on the scene and on our news line this morning. Hi, Melanie. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Fine. I'm sorry to butcher your last name. Tell us for sure what it is.
It's Batenchuk. You're pretty much spot on.
All right. I was okay.
Not bad.
So I guess first I have to ask you about Detroit. We hear so many bad stories about Detroit. Is Detroit up for this show now? I mean, do they have enough hotel rooms and restaurants open? And is the city? How's the city doing?
Well, as you know, the city is definitely going through a tough time, but it comes alive with auto show season. This season brings 4,000 or 5,000 journalists from around the world. They converge on downtown Detroit and some of the suburbs. So I have not heard any stories of people not having places to stay. And really the energy has been very positive here.
Well, that's good. Is the show all in one place? Like, is it a big convention hall in downtown Detroit or one of the big hotels, or where is it actually physically?
Yes, they hold it at the Cobo Center downtown. Mm-hmm. And there are events that most of the show pretty much takes place there. All the cars are displayed there just like any other auto show where you have the public coming in later after the media days.
Right.
And then there are certain events and other media-specific events happening throughout the town.
I attended the show in New York once at the Javits Center. I was there with the Auto Dealers Association, and we all had a kind of a private, just buses take us over to that. I'm telling you, it was one of the most exciting things I've ever done, being a car person at any rate. So I imagine it's even 10 times more exciting in Detroit. So what's the excitement all about? What's the buzz in Detroit now?
Yeah, well, I think that coming off the heels of the CES show last week, the Consumer Electronics Show, where a lot of manufacturers have started having a presence there, and most of their technological introductions, advanced technologies such as hydrogen-powered fuel cell vehicles, a lot of those products were launched last week. So I think that if I had to put a word stamp on this year's show, it would be inspired. I think the manufacturers are inspired after coming out of a strong 2013 with over 15 million vehicle sales, and predictions for hitting almost 16.5 this year. Whoa. So we see a little bit of maintaining, their flagship vehicles. We see introductions of new concept vehicles and really inspirational designs, such as Toyota's FT1, and Kia brought out a GT4 Stinger, which is a sport coupe vehicle with more of a throwback, nostalgic feel in the midst of all of this new technology. Ford brought back its F-150 refreshed, and a lot of the flagships they're putting their energy into to bring, even more excitement to consumers.
I saw something the other day, just a quick headline, that GM really seems to have stolen the spotlight in many ways, huh? With I guess various cars across their line. Is that right?
They've definitely made a lot of strides over the last few years, and certainly since their lowest point in 2008 and 2009. The biggest buzz yesterday was the new Corvette Z06.
Yeah.
And of course, last year they introduced the new Corvette Stingray. So this is the racing component kind of counterpart to the Corvette.
Now, how about electric cars? Are they making it? People still have faith in them, and are they growing?
They're still up and coming. Automakers are still putting a focus on them. Volkswagen introduced their e-Golf yesterday. The Golf is one of VW drivers' favorite cars, and so now they're putting an electrical component to it. There's the Honda Fit came back with a refresh yesterday. Not an electric vehicle, but something that's definitely fuel efficient and very popular among those small car buyers. And Audi also introduced an all-road shooting brake concept that would be positioned as an electric hybrid.
I'd be curious to know what is being featured out there in terms of in-car entertainment. Look, we're on the radio, we're also on TV, but radio is in the middle of really evolving now, and it's not what it used to be. And the car companies are really having to sort of keep up and adjust. And I'm wondering what you're seeing out there in terms of in-car entertainment.
That's right. A lot of that was definitely the focus of CES last week. I've seen some introductions of bringing in, basically the internet into your radio. So everything being very internet-focused, connections to your smartphone. So whatever you have on your smartphone, shows in the heads-up display in your center stack of the vehicle. There's the battle between what consumers want, what they think they want, what automakers want to present to them as at an affordable cost added on to the vehicle price, and then of course the federal regulators such as the National Highway
I was going to say
Transportation Administration, right?
To how much you can have there and watch and participate in and still drive safely, right?
Right, and that's I think that some of the fun element of this is let's explore what we can do, what are our capabilities, the innovations that we can implement. But then it always comes back to, okay, well, how can we implement this in a safe manner?
We are still several years away from these self-drive cars, right? Where they're not offering any of those for sale yet, are they? Please say no.
No, there are no fully autonomous vehicles on the market right now. There's a lot of testing going on with partial autonomous vehicles, and probably more testing than the general public realizes. It's definitely something that the manufacturers are, seriously considering as an alternative. If consumers really do want to be able to keep doing everything they're doing before they get in the car while they're on their way commuting into work, how do we provide that to them and keep everyone safe on the road? So it's going to be interesting.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think they already have didn't we talked about a car that parks itself, right?
Parking assist. Some of them have the park assist that'll use the sensors to figure out what's behind you, in front of you, to the side of you, and all that, and just park the car for you.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's some people who really need that. I watch some people try to parallel park here in Washington, D.C. Yeah, ridiculous. So
I think I have to agree with that. And, I mean, you're already seeing a lot of semi-autonomous features like that and other safety technologies. I know Mercedes-Benz has been huge on various safety components, such as adaptive cruise control is a big one. You basically set your cruise control, and if you get too close to a car that's slowing down, it will slow the car down for you.
Yeah, they even have, how about, what do they call it, I think, crash avoidance technology? That's in most new cars, too, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's another trend that we're seeing. Technologies that were, formerly introduced in the highest trim of vehicles and the most, luxury brands are really making their way down to entry-level models. You can't today on the market find a $25,000 car that doesn't already have Bluetooth capability technology built into it, or probably some sort of touchscreen infotainment center. So all of that is really making its way down, including stuff as the crash avoidance system.
Yeah, and
monitoring.
I remember years ago, a friend of ours in Los Angeles had a Rolls Royce, and she had the seat warmer, right, where you can push the button and your seat warmer. I mean, now.
Oh my God,
that was considered so radical. You had to be so rich to have that in your car. Now, shoot, you can get it in your Ford, right, or your VW or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like computers and TVs. The technologies are really expensive when they first come out. You think about the plasma TV when it first came out, $8,000.
Yeah, look at that, right. Well, it's very exciting, and I'm jealous, Melanie, that you get all the fun out there in Detroit. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy. Melanie Batenchuk is president of the Washington Automotive Press Association. Knows her stuff out at the International Auto Show in Detroit.
This is the Bill Press Show. seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 26 minutes after the hour, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee, in studio with us in the next segment. One big item in the news, the latest numbers came out yesterday on the number of people who have signed up for Obamacare. They give us those numbers once a month, about the middle of the month. Here is Secretary Kathleen Sebelius yesterday in a conference call with reporters.
More than 6 million Americans have now either signed up for private health insurance plans or for Medicaid coverage through the marketplace. Nearly 2.2 million signed up for private insurance through the marketplace.
So if you break that down, the 6.2 million, or over 6 million, 3.9 million are those who have taken advantage of expanded Medicaid coverage, 950,000 signing up through the states, and 1.2 million signing up through the federal site. A lot of people are saying, well, this is bad news. This is not so good because only 24% of those people who signed up are young people between the ages of 18 to 34. It is true we need more young people to sign up, but mostly the negativity about these numbers is coming from people who have been trying to repeal Obamacare for the last 3 years and trying to block it from ever happening in the first place. The fact is, and what we can't lose sight of here is, that the website is working. People are signing up for Obamacare. More and more are signing up every day. And we now have 6 million people who have health insurance that they never had before. And maybe only 24% are younger than 34, but 79% are younger than 64. Which means 79%, right, are in that, or like working class Americans, 18 to 64. That is really good news. It's only going to get better and better. Obamacare is here to stay, and Republicans had better just stop trying to talk about repealing.
This is the Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we are, 33 minutes after the hour. Again, the Bill Press Show on a Tuesday, January 14. Covering all the news of the day from Christie to the latest numbers on the Affordable Care Act. Christie in a little more hot water this morning because it was revealed yesterday that federal officials are now, in addition to all of his other problems, are looking into whether or not he misused Hurricane Sandy relief funds that were provided to New Jersey by the federal government, whether or not he misused those funds to actually to purchase or to sign a contract for television spots which promoted tourism in New Jersey and which featured Chris Christie and his own family. Some people are saying clearly this was meant to promote Chris Christie as a presidential candidate in 2016 and was a misuse of public funds. That on top of the New Jersey legislature yesterday forming a super committee to look into the allegations that Christie's staff shut down the George Washington Bridge for political purposes as political payback. And the U.S. attorney has said he might conduct an investigation. They're exploring the possibility of an investigation into the criminality of that bridge shutdown, because shutting down a public highway like that for political purposes is a crime. So all of that still remaining on Chris Christie's plate. Can't relax yet. And by the way, my take on the Chris Christie scandal in my column on the Hill newspaper this morning at thehill.com. We've also tweeted it out, Peter, and I think put it up on our website, billpressshow.com. It was the subject of about 10 minutes of discussion this morning on MSNBC on Morning Joe. Obviously, we're on the air at the same time. Don't know for sure what they said, but we were told by several of our callers, our spies out there, who were keeping up with it, that Mika liked it and Joe hated it. The column, that is.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. And the numbers came out yesterday again for the Affordable Care Act, which I think are overall good news. That 1.2 million Americans actually signed up through the federal site, healthcare.gov. 950,000 people signed up through the state exchanges, and 3.9 million people have now Medicaid coverage, which they couldn't have before. So the good news out of all of this is that 6 million Americans now have health insurance, which they never had before. They could not afford it before, or they couldn't get access to it before because they had some kind of a pre-existing condition. Those who have always opposed Obamacare and still want to think they can repeal it, of course, point to the fact that only 24% of all the new people that signed up are younger than 34. But we still have a few months to go for the sign-ups, and more younger people are signing up all the time. In the middle of all of these big issues, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, the ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee, representing our nearby constituents in Montgomery County, Maryland, joins us in studio this morning. Congressman, always good to see you.
It's good to be with you, Bill.
You saw these numbers from the Affordable Care Act yesterday. Right away, the Republicans are saying, this proves that it doesn't work and we got to repeal it, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, you're never going to get the Republicans to say anything good about the Affordable Care Act, even when there's good news.
Yeah, there could be 10 million people signed up, and they would say it's still a failure.
That's right. Look, we all know that there is still more time to go. We do need to sign up a healthy contingent of younger people who, they could walk out the door one day and be in a terrible traffic crash and be in the hospital. So
you
it
may
is
be
very
young
important.
and healthy, but you still need
very
health
important they
insurance.
get coverage for the catastrophic events and other events. But the real scandal, Bill, is the 5 to 6 million Americans who were not getting coverage simply because Republican governors refused to pick up the Medicaid expansion portion of this. For a period of time, it's 100% covered by the federal government. After that, it's 90% covered by the federal government.
Such a deal.
It is an important deal, and it's important that the constituents in those states recognize that their federal tax dollars right now are going to help people in all the other states. So it would behoove them to call their governors and say, why aren't you making sure that millions of people in this country can get coverage?
And you even have a conservative like John Kasich in Ohio, for example, who saw that he may not like it, but this makes sense for the people of his state. So he said, we're going to do it in Ohio. He's getting some flack for it now, but I think he made the right decision.
Well, that's right. I mean, those are governors who made decisions based on the interest of people in their state instead of based on politics and ideology.
So much to talk to you about. So glad to see you this morning. I have to ask you, first of all, I was shocked and saddened yesterday to see that Congressman George Miller from California has decided that this is going to be his last year in Congress.
It is a huge loss, Bill. I was surprised as well, and I was very sorry to see
he's been such
George's
a good
decision.
friend for
Look, he's been a
long time.
champion for working people throughout his career. And the thing about George is that despite the fact he's been here a long time, he gets up every day with the passion as if it was his first day in Congress. And that's what I've always been struck by, is somebody who gets up to work to do the business of the country with relish every day. And I guess he just decided it was time to go. But it is a huge loss. Whether it's education, whether it's minimum wage fight. Again, the battle for working folks.
Particularly for working families, I mean, George Miller has been there. Our mutual friend, Congressman Sam Farr, told me last night that George is one of the most productive and effective members of Congress in terms of legislation that he has himself authored and gotten passed and signed by presidents over the years. I've done it long. Carol and I walked precincts for him in his first run for Congress.
Is that right?
100 years ago.
Good for you.
In Point Richmond, California. Have known him since then. But the other thing is, and very close to Speaker Pelosi, former Speaker Pelosi, and soon to be again Speaker Pelosi, and that's going to be tough on her, to lose that close ally as well. And then the biggest thing is Alpha House, right? He is the man. He's the owner of the house that is now the feature of this Amazon flick, right, or series called Alpha House, based on George Miller, Dick Durbin, Chuck Schumer, and there's one other there. They all live in this animal house.
That's right. No, it's the animal house, as we say. I have not had a chance to see the new series, but you're right. It is that house is the model.
And
for
Chuck
that.
Schumer, and he owns the house. And so now, what are they going to do? They don't know. But I saw that Chuck Schumer tweeted yesterday, looking for a new roommate. Yeah. You need to like close quarters and cold cereal for breakfast or something like that.
I don't know if George is ever going to get his deposit back if he made one on that house.
Now, the other thing, Congressman, I was surprised. I was reading through yesterday about, and suddenly your name pops up on the Hillary hit list in 2008. What did you do to merit a place on this hit list?
Frank, it was a real mystery to me. I woke up, someone called me and said exactly what you did. What are you on this? I'm scratching my head. I have no idea. I was the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee in 2008, working very hard to elect Democrats to the House and work closely with both campaigns and candidates.
Did you endorse?
Did not get involved. No, I did not. So this is.
Oh, really?
No, this is why I did not endorse. Before the delegate count was final, and so look. I mean, we had a call yesterday from someone in the Clinton operation saying this was all a bunch of baloney. But look. I mean, it'd be good to have a find out from the top what's going on here, if anything.
I was always disappointed, Congressman, that I never made the Nixon hit list. But I'm glad I wasn't on the Hillary hit list.
No, look,
anyway.
I was joking with some of my colleagues, but frankly, it is a total mystery to me what the origin of this list is.
One of the issues that you've been very involved with, very much on our minds today, because a vote may come in the Senate on unemployment insurance today. It's just a crime that the 1.3 million Americans lost their unemployment insurance. That's all they've got to lean on, all they've got left. What's going to happen? Any hope?
Well, you're right. It was shameful Congress left Washington before dealing with this in December. And it is important to remember that Sandy Levin and I offered an amendment in the House, and Speaker of the House, John Boehner,
talked about it just before we
refused to allow a vote. I just think it's important that people understand that they decided to duck and hide rather than have a vote on this in the light of day. Look, I hope we can get it done. Senator Reid is obviously working hard in the Senate to try to bring up a package that would allow us to extend it for a 3-month period, but really for a longer period. And there are a number of proposals that he's put forward to do it. Some ideas from some of the Senate Republicans. Look, this is an urgent issue. These are people who are now really out in the cold. They didn't get their unemployment.
They've missed a check,
benefits.
right?
And it is important to emphasize what you just said. First of all, these are people who are working hard and lost their job through no fault of their own. And secondly, they're required to keep looking for work. And I have talked to some of them who have stacks of resumes I've seen that they've sent out, stacks of letters they've sent to employers, and it's been tough. There are 3 Americans looking for every one open job. And so for some Republicans to say, hey, look, these are people sitting back and watching TV, it's just so insulting. I mean, these are people who the dignity of work is important to them. They had a job, and they're still looking hard.
And if they were not, the idea that if they don't get unemployment benefits, they're more likely to go out and look for a job is really insulting.
Look, this is the bizarre theory behind a lot of current Republican ideology. The notion that if you simply shred the social safety net, that somehow that will boost the economy. The social safety net is there when the market system doesn't work well, when you have big downturns and people who are out there working need something to fall back on as they look for another job. It is Republicans, whether it's food nutrition programs, food stamps, or unemployment insurance, their argument is just get rid of the shock absorbers in the economy, in the market economy. And you know what? We're doing these people a favor by getting rid of their food and nutrition support and getting rid of their unemployment compensation support. That is so insulting, so patronizing, and I hope people will see right through it. I know they will.
Yeah, and then the other thing is just maybe we'll fix it for 3 months rather than just do it. Right?
Yeah, and remember the other thing. It's not just to help the people who are unemployed. The Congressional Budget Office tells us it helps the economy, the entire economy, when we provide support to these people, because if they don't have money to pay the rent or go to the grocery store, it's those local merchants that will also be hurt, and that results in unemployment.
President Obama makes that point every time he talks about it. Congressman Chris Van Hollen, our guest here on this Tuesday edition of the Bill Press Show. And what about the budget? Any prospects for that getting better? Congressman Chris Van Hollen right in the middle of it, ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee. We'll be back, and your calls are always welcome at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show. is the Bill Press Show.
You bet it is. 11 minutes now before the hour. Happy Tuesday, January 14. Honored to have in studio with us a ranking Democrat on the House Budget Committee, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, representing Maryland's 8th Congressional District. Congressman, there was, and you were very much right in the middle of it. In fact, you tried to get unemployment insurance as part of the budget deal that was reached with your chairman, Paul Ryan, and Senator Patty Murray. But a lot of people said because Republicans and Democrats were able to get together on that deal, so much as such a deal as it was, that might bode well for 2014. Have we seen any, in terms of parties working together, seen any sign of that so far?
Well, the jury's still out for the full year. Now, it was an agreement. It was a very small agreement, but a positive step. Huh? It's always compared to what? So compared to the sequester that would have taken place, these very deep, immediate cuts, the budget agreement was a step forward. Compared to where we should be in terms of investing in our kids' education, in scientific research at places like the National Institutes of Health or in our national infrastructure, we are still far short. But we are on the verge of passing legislation, I believe, to really implement that budget agreement, to put flesh on the bone. What do I mean by that? The agreement set the top line numbers. It said this is how much we're going to spend overall on non-defense programs, and this is what we're going to spend on defense programs.
So then you have to break it down.
Exactly. And so over the last couple of weeks, the appropriators have been meeting to try and figure out how to allocate that spending. And the good news is that programs like Head Start will see a substantial increase over where they would have been under the sequester. The National Institutes of Health will also see an increase, again, compared to the sequester. But I want to emphasize, Bill, the fact that compared to the investments we should be making, we're falling far short. And the notion that the federal government is on a spending spree is totally refuted by this agreement. We're down to spending at 2007 levels, end of the Bush administration,
really?
On what we call discretionary spending. This is the part of the federal government that pays for ongoing operations, right? Homeland Security, FBI, making sure that we can track hurricanes, kids' education, the whole gamut of federal investments. We're essentially at 2007 levels, and it's my view that we should be investing more and closing some of the tax breaks that encourage and incentivize multinational corporations to move jobs overseas. We should be bringing those jobs back home, investing here.
Now, is this omnibus agreement up for a vote soon, or will it be?
It will come up for a vote soon. Just from a timing perspective, we'll probably pass something like a 3-day continuing resolution stopgap measure. That means we're spending at last year's levels. But once the agreement is finalized, the I's dotted, then the omnibus will take place for the remainder of this fiscal year, so through September.
So if we're down to spending at 2007 levels, and the deficit is in fact coming down and has this year all the time, then why this still, like some people believe, that we're spending is out of control and we're just
a couple things.
First
of all, you're right. Look, the deficit has been cut in half now since the president was elected.
Whoa.
It was going way up. The category of federal spending we're talking about is what most people think of as ongoing federal spending, and that is, as I say, fairly flat in real terms.
Yeah.
There is still, when people talk about spending increases, because we have an aging population and the aging of the baby boom, things like Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, things that are on automatic pilot, right? These are mandatory programs, right?
Yeah.
People put in, people get out. Those programs will continue to increase in terms of spending as more and more people retire. Now, the good news, for example, on healthcare, is that the rate of increase in healthcare spending is at a record low. The last 4 years, we've seen the slowest rate of increase in the last 50. People on Medicare who are listening will understand this. Their Part B premiums, which are based on whether or not, the size of which are based on whether or not healthcare costs are increasing, are flat. They're the same this year as last year. That's because of the virtually no increase in Medicare costs from one year to another. Now, in the out years, as more people retire, you will project more and more spending on those programs. which is why, many of us believe we do need to close some of these tax breaks.
Sure.
To make sure that we can make ends meet for everybody.
Congressman, you're right in the heart of it, and I'm glad that you're there. A lot of work to do. We'll let you get back to work. Thanks so much again for your time this morning.
It's good to be with you.
All right. And you're on our good list, not our hit list.
And like I said, it's a mystery to me, and I'm told it just ain't true with the other one, but we'll find out.
Congressman Chris Van Hollen, thanks so much for coming in. I'll be back with a very quick parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
And just a very quick parting word on those Obamacare numbers that we heard yesterday. Look, it's true that not enough young people signed up, but the thing to keep in mind is that 6 million Americans who could never afford health insurance before now have health insurance. They've got that protection for themselves and for their families. The website is working. More and more people are signing up every day. Obamacare is already successful. It's going to become more and more successful, and Republicans ought to give up trying to repeal it. Have a great Tuesday, folks. We'll see you back here again
this
tomorrow morning.
Is the
you bet.
Bill Press Show.